Audio.
Now recording.
So, Chris, you're telling me your pedals don't throb after you get out of the car?
No, I've not had that. But
They don't
the
buzz or
new
nothing?
nothing. They don't buzz or anything. But I can't upgrade to the newest firmware because it basically bricks my pedal. I have to downgrade it. It won't calibrate. It won't do anything on the newest firmware. And I really haven't gotten an answer from them yet. So but
I'm just not happy about anything I hear about Moses software.
it,
I don't like Pit House. It's the second hungriest app after iRacing when you're running. Most of the time for me anyway. Maybe SimHub sometime, but
is it getting
I think that was
better?
always the case, but I mean, $1,400 cheaper is that's hard to argue it.
All right. No one else is coming, I guess, so we'll get ready to go.
I haven't heard from Westbrook, so and then Chris said he may try to make it once he gets the kids to bed.
All right. Well, let's just bust through it. 3, 2. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I am your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Brad Wren.
So this time next week we'll have a Daytona 500 behind us.
Woohoo! I'm ready. Chris Randall.
Good evening, everybody.
Welcome. On today's show, which sim is best for you? Dave Cam explains racing rules. The hardware section is full of motion. NIS is right around the corner. Why sim racing is better than Formula 2? Share with a new sim rig builder website. And are sim racing esports dying?
That's right, Mike, and remember that you can follow along with us on your PC or your mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all of the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com. Select the show notes. We hope to see you there.
Okay, Chris, you're up first. The 2026 Season 1 Patch 3 release notes are out.
Yeah, so this came out, I do believe, Tuesday, and it says we got quite a bit in this one. It's a new user preference been added, which automatically launches sessions for which you're registered once it becomes available. I haven't checked that out yet, but that's under preferences. An update for Steam members who purchase through Steam. Race servers fixed an issue where some of the interim sessions results were not always being transmitted. Um, Physics fixed an issue where some of the cones could be extra bouncy at a few tracks. I saw that. AI improved their racing skills with the NASCAR Cup Series Next Gen, and the drivers have graduated from a specialized training course for the Porsche 911 Cup, focusing on preventing the car from rolling over. I had no idea that was a problem. Graphics variety of NASCAR trucks updated to the Musco lighting near pit road so they illuminate properly. And let's see, there was a user interface thing, something with a camera, I think, right? Or it was like you weren't on the.
Yeah, so like it's primarily when you got done with the race, and as soon as you exited the car, the replay would not go to your car; it would go to some
Oh yeah,
random.
go to somebody else. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did notice that got fixed. I think the big one, too, was Bobby told us it was changes to the Chevy Camaro ZL1 Gen 7 Cup car was needed.
Updated it. Yeah.
Yeah, new body, so new front end, new rear end, and some side panel changes around, especially around the rocker panel and stuff. And then the rear quarter panels are a little bit different, so it's almost a whole new body. I mean, it's quite significant, especially when you go in to try to do the painting. So yeah, all the NASCAR stuff's been updated to the 2026 branding. So on the Cup cars,
O'Reilly took over.
yep, on the cup cars, where you used to have your name on the rear windshield, that's now actually Cup and the O'Reilly, where it used to be your name, that's now the manufacturer is back there. With the Cup car, though, we also got updated physics. So the additional, I guess, 80 horsepower. Um, as far,
Woohoo!
yeah, at the short tracks, road courses, and anything under a mile and a quarter or something, I think. Um, so interesting enough, when you go into the paint section, there's the option now drop down for multiple body types. We were talking about that, so I think that's something that's coming in the future. I did see a post from Brian Simpson. He said that was, it sounded like from his wording that that was something in the future. So we will get to pick different, as far as the short track package has a reduced diffuser in the rear, and whatnot. So kind of a cleanup of some stuff, and just a few track updates. Some more slow down penalty areas have been added to Mexico City to avoid some of the course cutting. Um, Adjustments to Daytona National Speedway. NASCAR branding's been updated, so that'll be nice for next week. And then a Portland International Speedway exploit. Apparently, between the yellow line and the white hash marks on pit exit wasn't correctly considered part of pit road. So I guess you could actually probably exit sooner, would be my guess.
Not under the speed requirement, maybe. Now, with the paints you were talking about, does that mean it may be where for my, Chevy Camaro, I might have three different paints for the three different body styles?
Well, I don't know, because there shouldn't there with the next gen car. There's really no body differences between the 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 cars as far as whether it's short track, super speedway. Spoiler change would be my guess. Maybe some front grille, and then of course the diffuser. So should be primarily. It's not quite like the Gen 4, where you've actually got two completely different body types. I hope to gosh it doesn't do that. The last thing I want to do is have to do four different, uh, templates for each car. That would drive me crazy.
Okay, I got this one. Trump and IndyCar have come together to announce officially by presidential executive order, actually, with Roger Penske and the president of Fox Sports in attendance as well, to announce the Freedom 250, a street course race that will be a one-off run at Washington, D.C., around the National Mall. So, right in front of the White House, around Congress, around the National Monument, the Abraham Lincoln Memorial, etc. And this is a huge win for motorsports, in my opinion. It's going to bring motorsports to the world stage. People who don't see motorsports or know about it are going to know about it because of this race. There's nothing bad about it. And so it was a little discerning to hear some, people take it political and put it out as a negative for the sport, but it really is a positive. Now, look, with IndyCar being involved, and we got the IndyCar game they're working on this year that I'm sure they want to get all the tracks in, especially what I think IndyCar is counting this as a crown jewel race in their schedule, next to the Indy 500, of course. But I'm sure Indy wants Washington, D.C. in the game. So my question I'll throw out to the group is, what do you think about the logistics of iRacing trying to scan Washington, D.C. with the Secret Service and everything that happens with that?
You can go ahead, Brad, if you want.
Um, I mean, I would imagine that it'll probably happen. I don't know. I think it's just more of a logistics thing. The amount of time that it takes to do it. I know it's not as it doesn't take as long as it used to, but I didn't think about the security aspect of it. I don't know. I mean, I could probably go to Google Street View and see anything I want to see if I want to go to Google Maps, can I? I
We're
mean,
using drones now to scan tracks, and I was
yeah.
thinking drones and near the White House aren't a good mix.
I would I would
True. Yeah.
I would anticipate that this is probably if they're going to build a track, they've already somebody scanned it already because you've got to start layout and all that stuff. So I'm sure that there's some sort of scan somewhere, as far as for IndyCar or whoever is the body that's going to build the track and do all that stuff.
Well, I kind of hope they're
Yeah.
working with IndyCar and iRacing are hopefully working together on building the track. We've seen NASCAR have great success with that, with Chicago and so forth.
I think, the backdrop of Washington, D.C. is going to be really cool. My first thoughts when I heard about it were I think they have 6 races in 5 weeks. Like over that course, they added this one in, making it that because they have a double header race up, I think, towards the end of the season. And the government is known for being efficient and on time. So I just don't know. I'm joking. That was sarcasm. I don't. That's such a short amount of time. Somebody's had to have been doing stuff behind the scenes already. Like this has to have some sort of planning behind it already. I think.
You'd think so, but you look at how Trump rolls with a lot of stuff, it probably doesn't. Now, look, I think everyone's buying into this, the ownership of Indy and all that. I bet you there's money involved. Everyone's getting paid to come put on this race. There's no tickets or admission. It's free admission apparently for
Oh
a
wow.
spectator. Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that. So, huh.
And the
Well,
other thing, I watched a video from David Land, who follows the Indy cars very closely, and he said, well, budgets were already made when this was dreamt up by Trump. Budget's already set, schedule was already set.
mhm.
Even my schedule, he talks about him personally as a journalist. He said, even my schedule is set. Now I got a plan to go to Washington, a whole nother week of hotels and flights and stuff, and that I haven't planned for with the people who pay me, So he talked about that a little bit. So it's a moving target, and so I hope iRacing is all over it because we want this scan. This is a one-off race. It's already been said they're not doing it next year.
Mm. Yeah, I hope they are able to actually get the scan, and I hope it goes off without a hitch. It would be really cool. But that just is a big, tall order in such a short amount of time.
Look, if you're a console gamer and you buy the IndyCar game, are you expecting to see that in there because it's on the schedule? I think you are.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, St. Pete was one they didn't have. Still don't have what thermal take or whatever. Are they even still going there?
Not sure, but aren't they doing St. Pete this year?
Yeah. I mean, we're getting St. Pete, so yeah. I mean, iRacing already says they have the scan for St. Pete, so yeah. I don't know. So all right, let's keep moving. So I got a video here from Jimmy Broadbent asking which racing sim is best for you in 2026. So he hits on a couple of these, and I'm just going to hit, the ones that are non-iRacing, I'll hit pretty quick. I said, of course, the original, it's kind of the goat as far as when it comes to sim racing, just because the huge amount of modding community and stuff that's in there. But as far as for competitive online racing, he does say iRacing, most established competitive platform. The pros, again, we know laser scan tracks, cars, and all that stuff. I'm so tired of people talking about pricing. So that's the con. Extremely expensive. It's not extremely expensive. We have proved this over and over again. If you treat this as a hobby, it's not expensive. Okay. If you're going to try to treat it as I want to go try to do everything in one shot, yes, it's expensive compared to buying a one game. But again, it's all whatever you make of it. So, Le Mans Ultimate, again, I haven't messed with the Mall Ultimate. I think it's getting very good reviews. I see lots of people that play it. again, the restriction there is it's just going to be WEC and European Le Mans Series content. That's all you're getting. iRacing, you've got everything from you know stock cars to sports cars to dirt to open wheel. I mean, the gamut is huge. Race room experience, free to play title. I've never messed with it. Set of Corsa Competition, the second version of a Set of Corsa. And some
So,
of your go ahead.
well, I was going to jump in this on this part because my takeaway on this video, Brad, was really Le Mans Ultimate is a starting point in sim racing now versus iRacing. When I started, for me, the choices out there were obvious. I just jumped right into iRacing and that's it. But now, if you're coming in, if you don't want to fully commit or jump into a subscription or this or that, he's basically saying, "Oh, start with Le Mans Ultimate, get your feet wet, see what you think, and then go on to iRacing."
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
think
I've played Le Mans Ultimate. I mean, it's a good sim. It's got
but
pretty
isn't
good AI.
isn't there some subscription into that as well, as far as or levels of whatever
I
you
think there's a,
do?
a level of subscription. I haven't done anything but single player on there because I have limited time to play or get on iRacing. So this is definitely not a first choice when I play. But every once in a while, it looks great and the AI is decent, I think. So
Yeah, just for me, I don't care about AI. I don't
mm,
I don't sim race to race against AI. I sim race to race against other people. That's the whole draw to iRacing, and it's been the draw to multiplayer
yep.
racing for me all the way back to the very early Papyrus days. As soon as we got multiplayer, we were doing it. So that's always been the draw to me. I want to race against a real person. I don't care about racing against anything AI wise.
Yeah, for me, it's more of a when I have time. If I can't make a race, then there's always that AI to fall back on because, I would love to do more on iRacing, but I feel like I miss my chance by 5 minutes almost every time. I'm like, oh, I just, I don't plan for it. So, um, but anyway, that is a good one.
Yeah, I mean, look, ultimately, we have a huge variety when it comes to what you want to do on the sim racing side. It's not like it used to be where there was just a handful of stuff. There's quite a bit of options to fit any need or any whatever your desire is when it comes to that. There's plenty of options.
Yeah, I will say Automobilista 2 is probably the top choice for AI. I mean, not AI, VR. It looks great. It looks really, the depth is great. It just looks very realistic, like nice textures on the interiors and stuff.
All right, we got 11 days until well, actually not 11 now. So this is a Instagram post from NASCAR Gaming and or eNASCAR Gaming. So February 10th, eNASCAR Coca-Cola's iRacing Series returns with a new qualifying portion of the schedule. So February 10th, and again, like we talked before, I think they're going to run through all three um, series as they're working towards the qualifications for the Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And as we know that there's, the top 20 from 2025 have automatic invites. I don't know if we've heard of anybody I can't remember if anybody that finished in the top 20 is not returning voluntarily or not. I don't remember, but yeah, a different format this year. So we'll see how that works.
Yeah, and so it's Trucks Bush Cup kind of thing.
Yeah, Trucks O'Reilly Cup.
It's always going to be Bush for me, but
Starting to sound like Kevin Harvick on the broadcast every
or
time
or
he talks
maybe I
about
should,
it. He said
maybe
Grant.
I should start calling it Xfinity now.
Yeah, yeah.
I got iRacing's career mode moving forward. A post by Steve Myers on X. He says, quote, "We just got a preview of the progress for the first phase of the iRacing career mode, and I am blown away. It is going to be a game changer. As a big fan of single player games, I'm so impressed with how much this will add to the service. And this first phase will only scratch, well, hold on, I have to click show more here. Will only scratch the surface on the feature compared to the overall design. Okay, so look, I got a couple things to say about iRacing AI. I've been using it a little bit to try to practice for the upcoming Ringmeister week, and it's just too. They're on a rail. All the cars are on the exact perfect line, and they never deviate from the line, and they look like robots are driving them, and it really gives me the wrong taste in my mouth because of that. Look, I understand I'm running against robots, but don't make me think I am by having them all run the same thing within a millimeter of each other.
I'll go back to my previous statement of just a few minutes ago.
Anyway, look, if they're going to fix AI and make it better, great. If they're going to add a career mode that is worthy, great. I'm all for it.
All right, we got a video. Got a video here from Dave Cam. So tries to explain some of the more ambiguous rules in sim racing. So some of the stuff we've talked about for forever, guys. Some of the key rules and etiquette. Race start and survival. Again, your primary goal at the start of a race should just be to survive. Don't worry about gaining positions. You just need to make sure you get through the first lap or the first few corners without getting killed. Blue flags. So you get a blue flag, that means you're about to be lapped by either a faster class car or a faster car. It could be in your class. It's just that guy is faster than you. He's a lap ahead of you. Responsibility. You don't have to completely jump off the racing line, but again, you got to be predictable. So some of the stuff we talk about from an ethics standpoint, again, if you aren't battling anybody, if there's nothing for you to gain in holding up that leader, just let them go. Just let them go. So defending versus blocking. The big difference there is it's whether it's proactive or it's reactive. Typically in most I would say road course series, you're allowed one move first. There's a defensive move. So if I'm going into the corner, I choose to protect the inside. I can, if it's a left hand corner, I can choose to pull to the left. I can't then, if the guy who's behind me then goes to the right, I cannot then go back out to the right. That would be reactive. So you're allowed one move normally. Attacking strategy. Unlike the defender, the attacker should be unpredictable. Again, move around a little bit. If you're behind somebody, there's nothing wrong with you pulling left or pulling right, just trying to get them to look in their mirror and see where you're going. Weaving and breaking the toe, standard rules, allow for a maximum of two moves to break a slipstream. So some of your outlaps in practice, again, just be mindful of those around you. That's one of my biggest pet peeves now with the updated tire models, especially on the IMSA on the road course side, is people just don't pay attention when they're out there on their outlap. You're slow. Look in the mirror. If I've been out for a little bit, I'm quicker. Just move out of the way. That's what I do. My first lap, I'm not going to do anything anyway. I'm just trying to get my tires up to temp. I move out of the way and get out of that person's way. And just some general advice: pick your battles. Again, think about what's going to happen. What do you gain by either putting yourself in a bad position, or are you better off just to stay where you're at for this corner and wait for the next corner?
Yeah, great video to get some ideas of how to enhance your racecraft. Look, there's a lot of people come into iRacing have no idea about any of this stuff, and how do you learn it? Well, by fire, usually trial by fire. But a lot of good points here by Dave Cam. At the end, general advice: pick your battle. Don't look at the big picture of the race. You don't have to take every run you get. And then bump drafting. He didn't seem to like that and he's referring to road racing.
Yeah, it's a good video. Even as a lifelong motorsports fan, there's a lot of stuff when I came to iRacing that I would have never known without looking, and a lot of trial by fire as well. So
Title idea: trial by fire. Chris, how about the next one? iRacing to IMSA data analysis.
Yeah, so this one I read through this one earlier, and it was during the Roar. Um, this guy Sean Finnegan in the iRacing forums got to support 89X Motorsports and the Aston Martin GT4 they had during the Rolex weekend, and it's really um, a lot of telemetry. And I think they were basically, and correct me if I'm wrong because I didn't make it all the way through this one. Um, that sim work, is pretty much like the work the F1 teams do, and had similar changes between their setups and sim in real life. So it seemed like to me the basics were they were comparing how that looked on track in real life versus what's going on in the sim.
Yeah, they're doing what F1 teams do, where they have a sim driver running the same track, gathering data, and then they try to stick that in the real car. But they're doing it on a smaller, basis. Now, the best analysis of what this forum post really is, because like you said, it's very in depth. Uh, Listener Cody Richardson put up in our Discord, he said this quote, the biggest takeaway is that it's not perfect, but a smaller budget team can just use driver in the loop sim work just like the F1 teams do. Had similar feedback to set up changes between sim and real life. And they're going to try working on real setups within iRacing to save time at the track. So they're using iRacing just like the F1 teams use their own software. I think that's pretty damn cool, and once again proves that sim skill can translate to real life.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely, and cheaper.
yeah, I mean, look, we've discussed before. Yes, we use iRacing. What the professional teams use is not a race. Is not iRacing. We go to the cut. You go to the NASCAR side. You've got Ford has their own, Toyota has their own, Chevrolet has their own, and all that. But everything they do in prep work for the week or the race is done on the sim. You're not making changes when you go to the track anymore. You're not. There's none of that stuff. There's no practice time. So all the week that you're spending. So let's take like the Chevrolet guys. You got Raja Caruth. It's stealing tons of sim time. You've got Anthony Alfredo does tons of sim time and all this stuff. That's what those guys are doing all day long. They're in the sim and they're working on setups for the teams. So simulation has become a huge portion of racing.
They're using the Cosworth Pi software um, that we've been talking about that's available now to people. And he shows us some of the screenshots, Brad, of the layout of the graphs and the different overlays and things that he looks at. Uh, it's pretty cool looking.
Oh, it is. And again, I'm just a guy that wants to grab the steering wheel and go. It's way above my head.
All right, language requests. This is kind of a quick hit, but we have a user in the forums. I'm not going to try the name, but he just put up basically, hey, we kind of want Chinese as a user interface in Sim for some of us that are really struggling with the English, basically. And so I thought it was really cool, kind of, that we've gotten to a point where it really is a worldwide product. I mean, you got people from every country, even adversarial countries, China, that are using iRacing to do what? To race competitively. It's awesome. Bring them on, and I hope iRacing, puts these different languages in these in the service, so all these people can partake.
All right, we got a forum post here from R. Brian Harris saying, "Wallet splits. You pay for everything for the week." So here's the idea: fuel, crashes, well, especially crashes, tires, penalties, and so on. Every week you get a deposit from your sponsor. It's enough to race, but not enough to repair multiple crashes. Other than electrodes connecting to body parts, it's a way to raise up the stakes a bit. And since it would be voluntary, racers who love to crash and screw around wouldn't be interested, at least not for long. So I guess the thought is there that let's somehow get a monetary
rating.
a rating, I guess, somewhat similar to safety rating, but it's a dollar amount, and if you destroy the car, it costs you money. Um, uh, Seems very complicated. I think SR is okay. It has its faults. Um, there's no perfect system to any of it. I think it's an interesting idea. I can't see how it would be carried out effectively. You know, it's the typical forum post. There's now 9 pages of guys arguing about it, and either oh, I love it, or this is horrible. Um, it's an interesting concept. I mean, this has been brought up before. I mean, again, and this is the whole purpose with the everybody complains about safety rating and how it's a no fault system. Well, yeah, whether I hit the car in front of me or if the car behind me hit me, I'm going to have damage regardless. That's just the way it works. It'd be the same thing in here. If I've got to go into my wallet to repair the rear end that I just got rear ended, what's the difference?
So I kind of took this another way. So I'm not saying this stat, it's a statistic. Let's call it a statistic. This statistic shouldn't carry any meat. It shouldn't replace SR or anything like that. No. I just want them to build the statistic of the dollars, like you said, and just have it as a column in the stats. Okay. You have an incident column, you got laps led column, you got all these different columns. Just give me another column of what my wallet split is for the week. And I want to track that. Look, I want to see at the end of the Ringmeister week, did I at $0? Did I come out ahead of everybody else? Look, maybe there's some pride in, hey, I didn't wreck the car and I got more money than everybody else this week.
There are so many other things that need to get fixed on the service. This is not one of them. This
Yeah,
is not one of them.
iRacing needs more statistics that they don't keep up with. So yeah, no, I got the idea behind it, but it was there's already enough to worry about. So on my case, I mean, other people might enjoy that.
Well, to your point, I've been screaming about a way to look at statistics, and without one, I mean, this is all a moot point, really.
All right, so we got a couple posts here about how do you deal with sim rage, Mike?
It's kind of crazy. We have Random Call Sign and Magic both put up a post about this, but um, the video about from Random Call Sign, he breaks out the 3 levels of the sim racing rage. Level 1, annoyance and agitation. And so, you hear this with the voice chat, maybe typing into the type chat. Uh, the fix, acknowledge anger immediately instead of speeding up to compensate for a mistake. Slow down for a few corners and focus. Level 2 is aggressive racing and payback. Boy, this happens quite a bit where, one guy rubs you and then he comes back and does it just double. But then you have the level 3 intentional wrecking. I actually sent you guys a video of this earlier today of level 3 where one guy forced another guy off the track just a little bit. I mean, they just bumped tires. And so the next slow corner coming up, the guy who got wrong before, he just flew in there and just wiped that guy out like bowling pins.
Yep. So, a few strategies for recovery when you do get upset. Think about the reset lap. Okay, when you feel the urge to retaliate, just back off for one full lap. Okay, calm down a little bit. Get back get back in the right headspace. Just calm down. Acceptance. Again, sometimes a race is already compromised by an incident. Just accept it. That goal is now just simply to finish. Go ahead. So, let's finish with as few incidents as possible, get the best finish you can. And then he talks about his personal tactic, and for him, it's the swiper no swiping. So so random call signs doing streams and stuff, and he said he asks his chat to type swipe or no swipe, and when they see him getting a little too tilted, so when he's getting a little upset, he's asked his viewers to type that in, and as crazy as that sounds, it kind of calms it down a little bit. So final takeaway, While getting angry is human, the goal is to prevent that feeling from controlling you and your next move. In sim racing, the most damage isn't caused by the initial incident, but it's by the reckless reactions that typically follow. So, and then I threw the Instagram post in here from Sim Magic because we've all been here. So when you watch this, the guy gets upset, gets up from the rig. He's got the steering wheel in his hand. He gets ready to smash it. Then he thinks, oh wait a second, this cost a bit of money. Then he's going to the monitors. He's going through all the equipment. He wants to destroy it. And like we all start to think about, oh, dollar signs. I can't do that. So I think we've all been there at some point.
So the streaming part, boy, that's true. When look, I like streaming because it's accountability. You get people watching your every move, really. But to that point, when you screw up or you cook the tires or you spin out and you're pissed and you're just fuming, I've had them in the chat calm my ass down so I don't screw up and wreck the car again. And just somebody saying, "Hey, take it easy" or whatever, that's enough to just say, "Hey, wait a minute, remember what I'm doing, focus." So yeah, the stream, I can't say enough how cool it is to have people watching you race.
Yeah, I mean, look, we all get upset, and you just got to deal with it. I mean, look, my thing is, if I get into somebody, I typically don't, unless I know that I'm just absolutely was out of control. I'll apologize, but if I'm not certain, I don't say anything. They can get upset with me. I'm gonna go back and look at the replay when it's all said and done, and I'll respond to them then. But I mean, again, I try not to let that stuff get to me.
Yeah, I've been racing more GT3 lately, and I haven't seen it as much. I felt like when I was doing a lot of oval, that was where I saw a lot of retaliation, not necessarily on me, but just in the races themselves.
The toxicity level in the Oval Series is ridiculous.
Oval's a different beast. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I got this one. We just got a quick quote from Max Verstappen. And the question was, is there anything outside of racing that you're passionate about? And he says, quote, racing, but not even necessarily myself. For example, one of my goals was to bring a simulator driver to the real world. I don't think I'll ever come back into F1 in a management role, but in a different kind of categories like endurance style, yes. I do see that happening and creating opportunities for young drivers that don't have the funds or possibilities to get into a real racing car.
Yeah, look, it's just the, Max is a fantastic spokesman for sim racing. What he continues to do is great. What he did last year with Chris Lullum, giving him the opportunity to race in the GT World Challenge. He's racing again this year. He's actually running in the Asia Le Mans series as well. So, we'll get down a little bit later in the script, but the Sim Racing Expo that's coming to Charlotte, you know, they have a podcast that they do, and they actually had Chris Lullum on this week. Super interesting to hear him talk about how he got into sim racing, getting in with Redline, Team Redline, his interactions with Max, getting the call up to do all this different stuff. So I applaud Max for what he's doing. And he said over and over again, that's where your next guys are coming from. They're coming from the simulations. They're coming from sim racing. So
But
I love it.
is Chris moving on from Max's team at some point now that he's established himself as a driver? Look, I kind of expect Max to bring in different drivers besides Chris. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
way he talks.
Yes, yeah. I mean, and that's what, as he said, and don't take this as a quote, but Max told him Max's goal is to get him to be a factory driver somewhere. That's Max's goal, whether he stays with Max or not. But the goal is for him to be a factory driver for in racing. So whether that's with Mercedes or Ferrari or whatever, Porsche, doesn't matter. But that's Max's goal is to give him the opportunity to become a professional race car driver at a manufacturer level like that.
Yeah, Max is like you said, an excellent spokesperson and ambassador for racing in general. But as far as I'm skewed because of sim racing perspective, but there's so much out there recently about him talking about sim racing and how it just widens the talent pool, obviously, and how people you don't need a lot of money to be sponsored to get that experience and show what you can do. And I think it's really cool that he, as a five-time champion, that's where his mind is. I think that's pretty cool of him to try to get more people into the sport.
Yeah, where is he going to be when he's done in F1? It sounds like he's gonna run a GT3 kind of team.
Oh, I think he'll go endurance racing or something. He's not going to stop racing. I mean, he just loves to race, and I mean, I love how his response is. What are you passionate about beside racing? Racing. That's it.
Racing.
That's what I'm passionate about.
All right. Next up is the 2026 Season 2 build thread content list, rumors, and so forth. So this is broken down into different sections. And so I'll take the first section and then you guys pick up the next. But we're just going to quickly rattle off a couple of these. So the implied items that were implied to get, which means they're very likely. Touring car updates and additions. St. Petersburg, which we already talked about. Barber Motorsports Park rescan and new Sim UI add-ons. Now, what about near future?
Yeah, near
Um,
future. Oh, go ahead. Near future, we got Summit Point Motorsports Park refresh. That one's a pretty old one. It's not a rescan, however. Other future track refreshes and scans, Brands Hatch. There was one other one here. Let's see, Mid Ohio, Road Atlanta, Laguna Seca, Aston Martin vehicles, the Vantage Evo GT3. It looks like that's gonna is that new? Yep, rumored to be the Valkyrie AMR LMH. And updates to the Vantage GT4, and then touring cars updates in addition. The TCR class overhaul has been underway since the last update. This is a 2-season project. They'll debut it with season 2.
Yeah, just some other stuff. Career mode, as we talked about, Winchester Speedway. So look, we hadn't put one of these in the script in a while, so when I ran across it, I figured I would throw it in here. These are good just to kind of read, not necessarily for me as a what's coming. It's kind of a reminder of what's been discussed. What's in the pipeline at some point, because I think some of the stuff we forget about completely. I had completely forgotten about the Summit Point and then Brand Hatch, stuff like that. I mean, the Mid Ohio, I remember that being said, but these are fun just to kind of read. I mean, look, this stuff gets kind of picked up here or there, but there's a ton of stuff in here, just a ton.
Yeah, always teasing the new graphic engine too. So I think everybody's, I don't know, I think we're probably still a year or two off of that.
Yeah, I'm just want the changes to the cup cars and all that to be just perfect to match up with what NASCAR's doing. It sounds like they're on top of it, so that's my concern.
Yeah, it's a huge list.
All right, so we've continued to talk about sim racing. So, why is sim racing better than F2? I got a video here from Emil Bernstorff, sorry. He's a former F4 driver, and he said when he was racing F4, he was valued at $1 million. Um, he says now, basically, I'm a 9K driver, and here's why. Here's why sim racing is better than real racing. Cost, right off the bat. Um, it's economical to sim race as opposed to racing for real. Competition, the depth of it, again, because the barriers entry is lower, the talent pool in sim racing is much larger. I think Chris, you just said that. Identical equipment. If you get into a fixed class, a fixed series, you don't have to worry about getting beat by better equipment. You're racing the same equipment, and now it becomes driver skill. In the real world, even if you're karting, not every kart's the same. Somebody's got a better engine or has got a fresher engine or whatever it is. So lower pressure and stress. He talks about how in real world junior formulas are incredibly stressful because teams and drivers operate at the financial limits. Again, in sim racing, even in esports levels can be high pressure, but you're not going to lose a seat at the end of the day because you're wrecked. Stronger community. We talk about this a lot. This is the biggest draw outside of the racing for me is the community. You create lifelong friends in this community, and it's such a niche thing. But again, there's like-minded people in here. Unlimited track time. Doesn't matter what you want to do. If it's raining outside, it don't matter. It's been 20 degrees here for the last couple weeks, and I can go sim race anywhere I want to. I don't have to worry about it. Convenience. Again, you don't need to dedicate your life, from age 7 to get it to try to race an F1. So it's very convenient. He says accessing the flow state, because track time is unlimited. Again, some racers kind of can experience that flow state. If you don't understand what flow state is, Google it. I'm not going to go into all that. Lower fitness requirements. Again, I'm 53 years old. If I got into a real race car, it wouldn't be very pretty right now, but I can do okay in the rig. Safety. Again, outside of maybe my force feedback's being set too high and I'll break a finger or something, I'm pretty safe. Although we will get into a story a little bit later where that wasn't the case. And then from the pure sporting element, he argues that real racing is often plagued by commercial interest, pay drivers, and whatnot. There's a very complicated balance of performance and all of that. But in sim racing, again, it's just the sport of it. Sim racing focuses on finding and celebrating the best drivers without corporate quotas and all that stuff. And he says, while sim racing lacks the smells and the physical thrill of a real car, it does bring elite level competition to anyone's doorstep. So there you go. I agree, 100%.
Yeah, I thought the video was actually I had not seen a video from him before, but it was funny and really good video. I thought all his points were valid, and it was. I mean, obviously they're pretty much valid on face value, but I'd never be able to do any of this without sim, and that's 95, 96% of people out there doing it. So definitely a lot of positives.
So
Yeah,
the
I mean, go ahead.
well, I was going to say, well, what spoke to me on this video was the flow state. So back to that, Brad. Look, the way he described this, and he's like, think of your channeling Senna. You're in the zone. Everything else in your life is gone. You're just you and the road and the car, and you know what? I get this flow state in the Ringmeister series all the time when I'm leading the race and I'm gonna win it and I'm just in a freaking zone and I love that flow state. You know what? It's addicting. It's like a drug almost. And look, sim racing definitely can get you the flow state, as they say. And I think that's a big reason why we race. Like it's kind of one of those things you're on the highway and you're driving home or something, and you get home and you realize, wait, I don't even remember driving the last 10 minutes. It's like that. I don't know how to describe it.
No,
Yeah, I
no,
think
I mean
it's
that's close. I mean that's
yeah,
it's a real place and athletes get there.
yep,
It's I mean I can tell you, when I ran my marathon, there was a spot where it was like 4 or 5 miles where I don't even remember them. I just wasn't even think about it. And it just was focusing forward, and it's just you forget about everything else. Um, I enjoy running. I don't do it as much as I used to, but that was the one thing I enjoyed about running was it was the one time where I can completely after, once I got to about mile 6, 7, or 8, everything else didn't matter anymore. It was just a focus on what I was doing. I wasn't thinking about stuff. And before I knew it, I'm mile 12, 13, or 14,
mhm,
and I'm not even thinking about it anymore.
yeah. Musicians can get there too, where they're just kind of unconscious playing, and it just goes through them. But yeah,
Think Santana, right? Okay, I got this one from iRacing to Ram. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but the there's a show that premieres on YouTube, and we're up to episode 7 this week. But it's called Race for the Seat, where there's several different young up and coming drivers pitted against each other in a competition to win a seat with Colleague Racing in the Craftsman Truck Series um, for the season. And so uh, this episode, they had a go home with the driver part. Uh, Ryan Jamel was the driver, and they kind of focused on, what was your story? How'd you get into this competition? And he talked about, he come from a family that didn't follow racing, wasn't into racing, nothing at all. He got hooked, doing this and that. Decided that he wanted to get involved. Moved to North Carolina. Got a job as a mechanic working for Joe Nemechek and on some classic NASCARs, and eventually got his opportunity to run where he worked, where he was a mechanic with the classic NASCARs, and so that transitioned into him being able to, run for this competition. But he shows off his, sim rig at home and talks about, hey, if I'm not at the track, this is where I'm at, just like Max does. Hey, if I'm not racing in real life, I'm racing here in my living room.
Mike, is this the one that's going to be on Fox? Or I wasn't able to, when I clicked on it, I wasn't able to watch this video. So I didn't really get the thing. But is this the
I've been
same
watching
one
on
where they're trying
YouTube.
to?
Yeah, I don't know if they're
Okay.
gonna broadcast it, but yeah,
Oh, I thought they were broadcasting one. I don't, maybe that was a different one.
they have like heat races. They did go karts one time, and then there's street stocks and late models and different things. They've kind of gone through a bunch of different cars, and they all live in the same house while they're going through the
Oh,
competition. So it's kind of a,
reality.
reality show. Exactly.
Big Brother with race cars.
It's better than Big Brother.
Chris, how about this one? Scan our track.
Yeah, so this looks like a back and forth here. The Salem Speedway, it says iRacing's been notified and the ticket's been issued for our concern. But under that, it's, excuse me, the owner, he says, I own the new Salem Speedway and Salem Speedway. Me as an owner and the fans want to get this going. What do I need to do? And then he puts his number out there, and it looks like iRacing responded and possibly getting this. I didn't go into the
Well,
Facebook,
well,
but
basically, what you're seeing is he just sent an email to support at iRacing.com and said, "Hey, but how can I get my Speedway scanned?" Is basically his question. Put in his phone number, but I guess that's one way of contacting him and asking him to get scanned.
yeah, I'm not familiar with it. I don't know this track. I assume it's a small
It's a
private
small
one.
asphalt oval. I think Arca runs there.
Okay.
Um, so that I'm sure there's a weekly series of some sort. So yeah, I mean, look, there's lots of smaller tracks around the country that I don't know what's involved in it. I mean, typically, I think probably the biggest hangup is whoever, iRacing's got to get permission and has to work out whatever the details are for all of whatever sponsors are there and all that stuff. I mean, to where they can use it's all
Yeah.
licensing and stuff. And I imagine that look, there's a fee to have iRacing come scan your track. I mean, I don't think iRacing's going to come out there and just do it for free. I'm sure
Free now.
that there's an expected price to be paid to have them come do it, and then to be in the game. I would imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
you
sure
wonder
it's
about the financials. Who pays who?
yeah,
Do they get it? Like if I
yeah.
buy the track, or do they get a piece of it?
Yeah, that's one thing I'd always thought about is is it like is there a what's it I'm trying to think, whatever it's called, like in the music industry, that musicians, like every time their song gets used in a commercial, their royalties. There's,
Royalty.
there's, yeah,
Royalties.
there's
Yeah.
something that comes down the pike, So like if I go in and buy a track, does the track get a portion of that? I have no idea.
I'd be curious what it cost. I mean, obviously, it'd be the scale of the track, but I'm curious what it costs to actually laser scan a track, like an average size road course.
Probably, you got salary and equipment, but you got probably at least two people, I would think.
Oh yeah, a lot of man hours too after the fact, I'm sure.
Travel, hotels, all that, a vehicle. So, guys, iRacing put up the question, what is the perfect car track combo? So I thought we would ask our group the same question. I actually replied to this and told them the Audi GT90 at the Nürburgring is the perfect combo. Look, if I'm going to sit somebody down in my rig to try iRacing, that's what I'm going to put up.
Oh my gosh.
Good luck. Good luck driving that car. They won't even be able
It
to
is
shift it
fun.
into
It is
gear.
fun. I don't know that I'd put, a newbie in NASCAR at the Nürburgring. Um,
I mean, for me, probably any sort of sports car at Sebring. I love Sebring, and it's just one of those tracks that's very demanding. It's bumpy. It's old, and it's gnarly in places, but that's one of those places where you could just get into a super good rhythm as you race.
I know it's cliche, but I do like Spa with sports cars, but also Road Atlanta. And those, I've been racing the Corvette lately, so
Monza.
either of those. Monza's good. Yeah, there's a lot. I like the new Miami track. I thought that one was interesting.
Yeah, so it's interesting to scroll the replies and see what everyone is saying. Uh, Gropskill says tour mods at Stafford. And then Dr. Colossus is the FF 1600 at Olton Park. So everyone's got one. So Javier Lucas, like you, GT3 at Spa. Okay, Brad, stop the bouncing. What's this all about?
Yeah, we got a video here from MF Henry talking about the new Porsche 992.2 GT3 Cup car, or called the P Cup. Um, so we talked about this when the car was originally released. I think William and I discussed that the thing likes to bounce a lot. I know that I tried it at Road Atlanta, and coming through the first set of the chicane there before you come to the downhill S's, that the car was literally like a bouncing ball. So he does a pretty good job of explaining, in combination of the car's suspension geometry and then the new tire model of why it does what it does. It's not necessarily a bug, but it's kind of the result of that. Um, Geometry wise, says when the steering inside wheel gains camber, it lifts that side of the car, and then when landing from a jump while turning, that inside wheel often scrubs or it hops. And then again, the way that the tire models, the tire impacts the ground, and rather than exceeding the grip limit and sliding, they kind of exceed their limit and then they hop. So, some ways to kind of fix it or trick it per se, because it's got limited setup options. And he talks about, and the video, he does a good job explaining this. He's using Monza, for example, going through both of the chicanes, and they're really to very high curbs. Um, First thing he says, rule number one is straighten the wheel on landing. So your steering angle on landing should not exceed your steering angle at takeoff. So ideally, if you're turning in, you hit a curb, you want to make sure you get the wheels back to being straight. That'll prevent the front inside tire from immediately exceeding the grip limits and then starting to bounce. Avoid braking in the air. Don't touch the brakes while jumping or in the air. Causes the tires to lock, even with the ABS. And then when they land, again, that zero wheel spin is going to immediately exceed the grip and force the bounce. It says to use the throttle or to coast, maintain a small amount of throttle on both takeoff and landing, ensures wheel speed remains consistent. Um, it's quite a lot to try to think about while you're doing this, but I think as you do it, it probably becomes more second nature. And then some strategic line adjustments. So he says if you struggle with turn in, suggest delaying your turn in by a turn in point. By turning in slightly later, you can hit the bump or the curb with a straighter steering wheel. So you're actually probably taking a little less curb because you're coming in with a little bit later apex into it. And then you're not asking the car to rotate as much. He says that the real life Porsche Cup car is known for being bouncy, but it'll typically settle after one or two bounces. again, where the iRacing version can kind of sometimes sustain the bouncing longer. And again, that's the one thing I did notice. It just felt odd. It just was, it's like just bump, bump, bump is the way the front end felt.
And look, I watched this, and I don't even own this car, but I get the feeling that everything he's talking about here would apply to any of the cars, the road cars, as you jump over the humps, as they say. Um, and so I took away from this, hopefully some lessons of, especially the part about don't try to oversteer or turn the on landing more than you do before you take off. That part was kind of new to me. It was kind of a new concept I've never really put my head around yet, and so it makes sense when you think about it. Like, get the turn done before you launch.
Yeah, and he used, like I said, he used Monza as example. And if you think about the when you come up to, it's not on the front stretch. I guess the second chicane where you got the quick chicane before you get to Lesmo 1 and 2. Um, you if you almost want to kind of take it as a diagonal across both of them. That's kind of what you want to think. You want to try to keep the car as straight as possible, which is what you should be doing anyway. But we have a tendency, I mean, especially in that corner, it's you kind of launch to the left, and then you come right back and you try to launch to the right to catch the second curbing. And it just, again, even in a regular GT3 car, the car is all out of whack when you come across there.
All right, next up is a reminder about simracerhub.com. This is a neat website, guys, if you run any kind of league racing. And so I was doing some hosted racing with the normal Chris McGuire group over the weekend, and they implored me, "Hey, head over to Sim Racer Hub and we have a points championship." So apparently, what they've been doing is somebody from their group has been taking all the results from our hosted races that are open to everybody, dumping them into Sim Racer Hub, and getting some kind of points championship going based on these random hosted races. And so, um, sure enough, I went over to that website. I looked up my name. I found the information, and I was like, I don't know, 17th in points in the Chris McGuire hosted deal. But yeah, it's kind of a neat website to go check out. What do you think?
So, uh, I mean, like I'm on there right now, and when I go to look at myself, I mean, there's no career stats have been updated since February of 24. Um, it doesn't show any league activity, and I run in quite a few leagues, so I'm not sure if this is something that has to be done on the league side, or maybe it just doesn't pull the data or something. I don't know. It's yeah, I was a little disappointed.
So I almost think they have to submit to it. It isn't automated, Brad. I don't think it'll just automatically show stuff. So like if I go over to my leagues, there's only two there, and so even David's league for the lounge isn't listed here. So I have Highline Racing League. That's the one that Chris and Justin run, and then there's the Chris McGuire weekend hosted races. So anyway, it's if you run a league, you might want to check this out. Okay, is sim racing esports dying, Chris?
Yeah, so this is the video. Kevin Ellis Jr. discusses the state of professional sim racing in 2026. First point he had was about the failure of Sport. Apparently, it was dropped from the World Cup. I'm not super familiar with world racing beyond what's on iRacing. So it says Sport was removed from Esports World Cup in January of 26 and replaced by Trackmania due to low viewership and slow development. Operational issues says long breaks between short 15-minute races turn viewers away. Pricing and physics, 180-degree turn on pricing. I guess it was originally free, and then it became 42 or yeah, $42 on Steam. Inconsistent physics, that would be bad. Left pro drivers and the public frustrated.
I remember
It
this
just
like
talks
two,
about the
3 years ago. They were a lot of people were leaving iRace. Some of the high end drivers were, hey, I'm leaving iRacing. I'm going to run Sport. I'm running them exclusive. We're in this championship and all this stuff. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's all gone at this point.
It was supposed to be the next thing, and it kind of just has never developed into anything outside of the esports side.
Have either of you tried it before?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no. I mean,
Yeah,
no. I mean, it was being used for. I mean, like Pickup and Porsche, and I mean, it was a bunch of stuff it was being used for. But no, I've never used it again. It's just never was never appealing to me.
hmm.
He goes on to talk about
um,
iRacing and the decline there as far as esports go. The PESC, which is the Porsche Esports Super Cup, is kind of MIA this year. No news on a return, leaving those World Championship licensed drivers with nothing to race. There's low viewership going on. Even the officially backed series like the IndyCar Thrustmaster Pro Series have been struggling with races failing to reach 10,000 views. And then there's been qualifying controversies, exploits regarding tire temperature in iRacing, qualifying becoming so problematic that the sim stopped broadcasting qualifying sessions altogether to avoid negative publicity.
Now he did say that the iRacing IMSA series has been a bright spot. So there's actually some discussion that won't start back up to the fall of this year, but they've actually talked about. I guess there's some discussion about increasing the number of races there as well. But past, I don't. That typically did not start until late summer, maybe. That's
Too
not been
soon,
like a
right?
year-round thing. Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I'd have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure we were probably covering that maybe late summer last year or maybe during the summer. Um, but yeah, I mean, look, we talked about it before. I mean, it's look, this was benefit from the COVID boom. That's when esports like this took off. And again, racing is still very niche. This is not Counter Strike or Call for Duty and stuff like that. It's still a very niche market when it comes to racing in general is niche. I mean, it's think about it. I mean, more people are aware of what's going on with NFL or NBA than have any clue what's going on with racing, regardless of the series. So I think that's always going to be a challenge. I think that's what even real world motorsports compete with when you're competing against stick and ball in those sports.
Yeah, and so really has the bubble burst with esports and people, competing at that level. I don't know. I think we've hit the high point and probably on a downward slope.
All right, we got another update from James Baldwin. So I think we discussed last week that he joined Team Redline. So now he's actually joined Mercedes AMG F1 as a driver for their simulator program. So super cool, super talented guy. Again, another one that started as a sim racer. That's where he started, and now he's done some races in GTA World Challenge. He's done I think so some Asia Le Mans races, stuff like that. So very good for James.
yeah, and this is no. I mean, this is Mercedes F1 team, so it's no joke getting that opportunity. I remember when I was first getting into sim racing, watching videos to see this. That's pretty cool.
It is, look, it's a big deal. I mean, to be a sim driver in a major F1 team is saying something. That's and for him to, not have a lot of real world experience and for him to be able to get that job, that's just amazing. It just shows you how it can work. Well done, James.
Yep. Then we got a Instagram post here from our sponsor, Premier Racing Setups. Just kind of wanted to give them a shout out. So they had their weekly win count. So last week, 122 wins altogether. Dirt Oval 85, Oval 36, and one road win. So again, guys, we're NIS is right around the corner. I'm telling you, you're not going to find any better setups than you're going to get from Premier Racing Setup as we get ready to head into NIS. So I just want to give them a shout out and congrat them. 122 wins. That's huge.
Yep. And then Sim Racing Expo is May 22nd through 24th. And we got a big list of people coming uh, this week. We got the BDH shifter, they're coming. We have SRP, which are the pneumatic pedals with the orange on them, I believe, if you recall. And Fanatec, Rising from the Dead. And then there's something here about a golden ticket, Brad.
Yep. So um, this will give you entrance to the expo, entrance to the Hall of Fame, NASCAR Hall of Fame, and you can get a ticket to the Coke 600. So as well, I looked at this. We're heading down there for that weekend, but we're just gonna stay through Saturday. We're not gonna stay for the Coke 600. But you can do kind of an all inclusive if you want to. I think it was around 269 bucks. So it's like around
So that's
270
not
or
bad.
something. No, it's not really, but it's not bad at all. If you want to go do all of it. So, but yeah,
Hmm.
I'm excited. I'm not sure who else is going to come. Hopefully, we have some listeners. If we do, I'd love to be able to hook up with you. I will have my iRacers Lounge swag on. So when I'm there, but yeah, looking forward to it. I'm really excited to go through the Hall of Fame. Been wanting to do that for quite a while. So the wife's going with me. So as I said a couple weeks ago, it's not going to be spend Brad's money. It's because we spend the wife's money.
Yeah,
And
limited amount of those tickets. There's only 500 of those all-inclusive ones.
let's talk events. We have the MPI Challenge, Max Pappas Industry Challenge. It's the ARCA car at Charlotte. Time Attack is open February 5th through the 19th, which will lead to a championship race on February 25th. So get involved, guys. This looks like fun. I think I need to try this out.
Yep, top 20 drivers in the time attack will be eligible to receive an invite to participate in the finale race. Like Mike said, will take place on February 25th. So first place, actually the race will have be at Charlotte Motor Speedway. They'll do two 15 lap heats and then a 25 lap feature race. No yellows in the heat race. Yellow laps will count. No tires in the feature race. So, but champion will get an MPI trophy, $200 MPI gift card, and then 100 iRacing credits. Second, $100 MPI gift card, $50 iRacing credits, MPI hat and T-shirt, and then third will have a $50 MPI gift card, $25 iRacing credits, and an MPI T-shirt as well. So yeah, good opportunity there. I do not own the car, so I probably will not be doing it.
Yeah, why not try the Time Attack and just see if you can get a lap up? That's decent. It's going to be tight, I can tell you that.
Oh, I'm sure it will. So, and then we've got the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup North America. This is series is launching. This will start in March at Sebring. So this is in conjunction with Porsche North America and iRacing itself. So need to get a little bit more information on this, and we'll have that next week. I just didn't have time to dig into all of the details.
It's like a 6 race iRacing schedule, but the races are spread out.
Yeah, they are. Just need to figure out as far as qualification and who's in it. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to dig into it.
All right, and then we have the Bathurst 12 hours, February 20th through the 22nd. We got us our first event poster here, guys, or another event poster, I should say. But I really like this one.
Yeah, no, it looks cool. I've been scouring the forums trying to see when the Daytona 500 poster is going to be released, and since it's NIS, of course, we're probably going to get nothing.
Haven't seen anything about that.
Nope, but this will have the normal 4 time slots. So starting February 20th through 22nd. So the first one will be the Friday, the 2200 GMT, and then the normal Saturday, 7 GMT, 12 GMT, and then the 1600. You do not get the fifth slot with this because it's a 12-hour race. So just the 4 time slots. So this will be GT3 cars at Bathurst. So yeah, there you go, 12 hours. So we tried this a couple years ago. It's a pretty easy place to die pretty quick. So
Did you run it with 3 people or?
yeah, we attempted with 3, and then I think I killed the car a couple times, and we were done.
All right, this weekend iRacing, is there anything we need to bring up here?
Got the Winter NASCAR iRacing Series. This will be the last week of that. Be at Homestead, Miami. And then we've got the Dirt Super Late Model Tour. Is week 3 of 39. So this will be the dirt track in Charlotte. So yeah, most everything else is off this week.
Podcast housekeeping, leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find the podcast. Mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We would appreciate it. Check out our Discord and get involved in the discussion. And of course, our show notes are available for your viewing pleasure at iRacersLounge.com. You can literally see the same thing we look at as we record the show. We're also on the Performance Motorsports Network, and get your merchandise, hats, t-shirts, and so forth at iRacersLounge.shop. Hardware, software. Brad, we got a new looking rig here.
Yep. So got a video here from Simnet, and they're talking about the Spec 282. It's a high-end aluminum rig. It's a nice rig. I like some of the stuff that you'll see as you watch it. So it's 80/20. Your chassis, your base chassis is going to be 160 millimeter. Uprights are, I think, 80 millimeter, maybe 120. The one thing that is a little bit different is they do have hash marks on the side of stuff. So like when you're making adjustments, if you're trying to raise or lower certain things, it's pretty easy to line things up. One of the things they talk about is every part is individually wrapped, so that's protected. That's kind of a normal, somewhat normal, just depends on how well people wrap things. CNC machined, again, customization. They do offer the ability to customize, so you can do different colors, such as end plates, different color, gold, purple, red. Um, there are no corner brackets with this. That's the one thing that is a little bit different. So where typically you're going to have that 45-degree corner bracket. These corner brackets are like a 90-degree. So a little bit different look to it. They have a modular assembly called hook and tilt. And then the seat pedal bases, again, they're kind of swappable. And then same thing with the wheelbase. My only concern with this is the cost. So they're the 282 titanium mist, just bare chassis, no seat or anything, $1,300. That's expensive
Well, you can get a sim lab for that, right?
with a seat and everything else.
I mean,
It
I
looks
think you got to
nice.
want one of these colors.
The obsidian red or the orange amber drift. Yeah, I love the colors. I mean, the colors really do it for me. Look, I think you can get colors from Advanced Sim Racing on their ASR chassis, or they used to provide those.
Yes, I think those are these are anodized though, right? Is that I think that's the special thing about them.
Not powder coat, right?
Correct. They look great. I mean, they really do look good. It doesn't look like there's too much as far as mounting or the sophistication like ASR has, where they have a bunch of different options. And all these, I think, are pre-order. So I'm not even sure how many are out there right now.
I can't figure out where the company is from either.
No, like I said, it's neat. It's just that's expensive. It's just expensive.
SpecSimulations.com. It's a nice rig, but yeah, it's a little high price. Chris, you got this one. It's a Motion 3DOF with lateral G-force.
Yeah, so this is a new, or at least I think it's a new DOF system, and it's one of the ones that's the pivot. So you're not using like the standard actuators on the corners. This is more like, oh, what's the, I'm trying to think of the really nice one, Driven Dynamics one, where it's up on above a platform. Um, it looks like, I mean, I watched the video. I didn't really see much about it that was too much different. It looks cool. I don't know what the price is on this though. It didn't have it anywhere in the description, and I didn't go to the website.
Yeah, no, but it's an interesting concept. How the little, I guess they're not really actuators, but the legs, I guess you would say, that hook to the tray that's kind of floating. Those legs are in slots
They're
along the
thin.
bottom thing. Yeah, kind of like slots that go back and forth. It's just an interesting design. I thought we
Yeah, they
saw
call it a
something like
motion
this.
pivot.
Yeah, we saw something like this in Chicago, I think, as well. Okay, what
All right.
about shifters?
Yep. So we've got a new the PXN SFSH shifter is now available. So this is allows you the opportunity to switch in seconds between H pattern and sequential mode. So whether you're drifting, rallying, or pushing laps on the track, this shifter will adapt to your drive. So PXN, we've talked about them quite often. You know, they've got into the direct drive market, steering wheels and stuff. But this shifter looks remarkably similar to the SimMagic shifter.
Right, doesn't it?
Incredibly similar look to it. So yeah, even as far as the with the knob and where you got to pull up in order to get into seventh gear probably or eighth or whatever. It's yeah, it's remarkable how similar it looks, even the switch on the side to turn from sequential to H pattern. So
You got to think these are coming out of the same warehouse or the same manufacturing facility in China.
yeah, it's just it's too similar.
Well, let's wait for a review and a price, and then we'll give judgment there. The next one's just a quick hit. Conspit authorized distributors. Um, and so basically, they're telling don't buy any Conspit from AliExpress, don't buy it from eBay, and don't buy it from Amazon because they're not. Those aren't authorized channels for Conspit official. So just a warning. So are you getting knockoffs if you buy on AliExpress? You know, if you buy a Conspit, is that what they mean?
I don't know. I mean, I've seen their stuff on there. I don't think I've ever seen it on Amazon though. But yeah,
No, I don't think so.
I mean they've opened up a U.S. distributors. I mean we talked about that for, you know, we joked for a year or so ago that it was like vaporware because you couldn't buy it anywhere. But they do have some U.S. distributors now. But yeah, I mean look, AliExpress. I've bought, you know, the only thing I bought from AliExpress were my dust covers for the slots in my in my rig. That's all I bought from AliExpress. Of course, I get 5 emails a day, you know, with all kinds of sim racing stuff. But I would be extremely nervous to buy some of that stuff.
I've seen it on eBay, and it's usually above retail as well. So I'm not even sure why you would buy it on there to begin with.
Okay. Brad, what's a self-built telemetry tool?
Yeah, we got a forum post here by Max Grip. says he's building a modern telemetry analysis tool for iRacing. So he said he wanted to share a project he's been working on. He says he's always found professional telemetry tools a bit too complex and they're outdated in terms of their appearance and functionality. So he wanted something fast, clean, and intuitive. So he started to build his own. So got a lengthy forum post here. Even David Tucker chimes in and says it looks good. Similar to some of the telemetry tools we'll see. This looks to be maybe a little bit easier. I'm looking at the picture here, and we've got a track map showing looks like the heat maybe, or I can't tell. It's really small. Maybe the speed sectors on there. Um, you know, Input and whatnot. So it looks pretty neat. Some of this stuff is very similar to what you can get out of VRS and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it's a very lengthy post. Him and David Tucker go back quite a bit, and looking at stuff. And yeah, if you're into this is super nerdy and just way above my pay grade. I don't understand a lot of this stuff.
It is. It reminds me of a guy from the past named John Hammer, who was a friend of the podcast who didn't really race much or drive on iRacing, but he did stuff like this all the time. He was a setup guy. He would build setups and he would do telemetry and all that stuff. But reminds me of John Hammer. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I can remember trying to get into Motec and looking at Motec years ago when NASCAR went to the just went to the when we went to the COT with the splitter and trying to get it sealed off and all that stuff, and I was like, yeah, I'm just lost.
Yeah, this one looks a little more. I think he simplified it a little bit, um, but it looks like it has the ability to go pretty deep if you want to go. So it's got some graphs and got some things in it that might be useful. But like you said, VRS and similar things, the Garage 61, they're all going to have something pretty close.
All
all
right,
right.
Mike, that's a 4X, isn't it?
Yeah, this guy on TikTok called iSimRace. He said I wrecked my rig and I wasn't even racing, and he shows off his track racer rig here, and basically the piece fell apart. It looks like he has like a caster wheel, and it broke off, and so the rig basically fell over as he was trying to repair it, and yeah, what a mess. Don't buy
His
those cheap
triples are
Amazon
attached.
wheels.
He's got attached triples and it almost just fell right over on him.
Yeah, I saw that, Chris, and I'm looking at this thinking there's a benefit to not having your monitors attached to your base. Like seeing those triple monitors wave all around, super weight heavy on that. Like there is benefits to having separate mounts for your monitors.
Well, let me first of all, I think he bought the casters from Harbor Freight. So, not that there's anything wrong with Harbor Freight. a- Anything that I buy, whether it's casters, feet, or whatever, I'm buying from whoever my rig manufacturer is or another rig manufacturer, plain and simple. I'm not trusting this thing to sit on anything other than either, you know, I, when I bought mine, I had the feet that came from Track Racer. Decided I didn't want the feet. I needed the casters. I think I got the casters from Advanced Sim Racing. So again, I'm going to buy from a reputable, rig manufacturer. If I'm going to put anything under there that's going to hold the weight of this rig and my big fat batootie.
The video also kind of shows how he struggles with. You almost need a jack to jack up your rig to work on it. Chris, you ran into this a lot when you did your rebuild, probably. How do you getting this thing up off the floor?
I got a little hand jack. It's about 10, 12 inches. But that's not foolproof because I mean this thing gets a little wild, but I don't do it now because I can just lift it up with actuators. But yeah, you got to balance it. He's stomping around with no shoes on. I hate to see what happened. He just slid something under the rig with his bare foot. That thing come crashing down. That's not good.
Yeah, I mean, when I took and switched from the feet to put the casters on, I used a jack. I used a floor jack in order to hold it up because I mean, everything was built. I mean, jacked it up in the rear end just enough to where I could get the casters on. I mean, I didn't know what else to do.
I mean, honestly, if there was a way to do a lift like a car, that would be perfect. Doing wiring and all that in the beginning. But those sand jacks, I mean, they're not that expensive. I think they're maybe for cheap ones, maybe $30 on Amazon. So definitely worth it if you're going to do anything underneath.
All right, this next one. So for the audio listeners, I'm going to describe the picture we got off of Facebook from Matthew Gleason, where it's actually a flight sim rig. But what's interesting is what did he do with his big triples? He didn't set them up like I did. He turned the 3 triple monitors vertical, and he's got them vertically laid out. Okay, so they're up and down long ways. And so, man, the vertical FOV that he gains by doing that is extreme. And so I was thinking, man, this maybe we could do this in sim racing. Maybe we should do it with 5 monitors instead of 3.
No, 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 no. Okay.
Got
Could
a
we
lot of
do
wasted
5?
space
I
there.
don't know.
This is fine for flight sims. This would look fantastic for a flight sim. You know, like a helicopter or something like
So you
that.
can
This would
look
be
down. You can look up.
Mm.
absolutely. This would be fantastic. But this is you're losing too much horizontal FOV with this. I mean, if you look at the picture and it's small, but eh, the he's got the steering wheel on in the car and the hand is literally the size of a small child. I mean,
You can see
it's
the
just
floorboards. It's giant.
yeah, it's just no. Again, for a flight sim, I think you're spot on. This is just wasted space. I mean, yes, you want to have some vertical FOV, but this is not the way to do it.
Okay, Chris Waldron, how about this next one where Inside Sim Racing TV shows us how to do a seat slider?
Well, I just clicked it to watch it for the first time, so I haven't watched this yet. So I'll let you take it.
Well, look, he
Yeah.
talks about the hardest thing to install on a sim rig, as far as I'm concerned, and that's a seat slider. We were kind of talking about this in chat this week. I feel like I might even have a little flex in mind. Brad, you told me to tighten the bolts. I need to look at that tonight, but I was even thinking about getting rid of the seat slider and just bolting the seat directly to it.
I've thought about it as well, but then I try to imagine myself getting in and out of this, and no way. I like being able to push back. However, this is a very good video to watch. So, yes, I remember when I built my rig, one of the most aggravating time was trying to get the seat and the slider together. So this is a really good way, just a good how-to, gives you some good ideas. I wish that if I'd have seen this video when I was building my rig, 2 years ago, I bet you I wasted an hour and a half, 2 hours just trying to get the sliders done because you're trying to get stuff lined up and you think you got it right and it's a little bit off and then it won't move. And oh my gosh, it's just absolute aggravation and it's tight. There's hardly any space for you to work in there. I mean, my fingers were bleeding because I had pinched them so many times. You're trying to get an Allen key in there and get stuff. Oh my gosh, it is the most aggravating part of a sim rig build. Absolutely the most aggravating part.
I don't want to watch the video now, but I mean, I just did it as well, so I don't even want to know how easier it could have been if I watched
Oh,
this.
yeah, you need to watch it because you're gonna be like, why didn't I think about that?
Well, for me, it was always I had it upside down. I didn't even have it right side up. When I was putting it together, I mean, I totally messed up.
Look, I love my track. I love my track racer rig, but the instructions were. They can do better with the instructions. They can do so much better.
All right, how about Fast Pasta, Anthony Alfredo, who's been a guest on our show? He puts up his video on Instagram about how to add D-Box motion to your simulator, and he kind of shows off the installation and how it goes for him.
Yeah, he's upgrading from the original D-Box, I guess, to maybe the Gen 4. So the one thing I thought was interesting about this, he's got a SimSeats chassis, and he's got a platform where the actual chassis sits on it. So he's attaching all of the stuff to the platform as opposed to the actual rig itself. But yeah, it's pretty neat. It's not definitely not a one man job though. I can't imagine having to try to pick up and move my chassis to set it back on there. But yeah, pretty neat. Still don't think motion's something for me, but it is what it is.
And for those that do get motion, nobody is buying D-Box I know of. That's just too much money, right?
Yeah, I think he's probably somewhat sponsored by him or something. So
Right,
there's
right.
there's a
Yeah, that'd be my guess.
But Chris, Randall, so when you bought yours, I mean, you never considered D-Box at all, did you?
No, because I had the belt tensioner from Cubic, and I liked it so much. I liked their software. The build quality was excellent, so that was the one I wanted to go with because it integrates perfectly. I actually run my I have a couple of base shakers on my seat that I run through it, and it syncs up now with the motion and everything. So I will say this about motion. I had used it at like a sim racing lounge a couple times, and the difference between using it in that environment and then using it when you have it dialed in on your own is night and day. So I think it's that's hard. Who you don't get a chance to test it like that. So because when I put this thing on in just the default settings, the original, I was like, this just feels gimmicky, like too shaky, too all this. Once you get it dialed in, it definitely I couldn't do it without it now.
Okay, so Brad, 3D printed hand control.
Yep. So I ran across this. I don't remember where it was over the last week or so. This is from 3D Wrap. So they've created. It's a 3D printed, but it's a hand control throttle and brake. So for those that are disabled, so you don't have use of your legs, this gives you the opportunity to be able to sim race. So your hand slides in this. We got a video that shows how it works. Hand slides into it, so you can still put your hand on the steering wheel, but you've got the opportunity to do a throttle and a brake, basically kind of with your thumb, pushing forward, pulling back, or switching, to the different the inputs there. Super cool. We've seen stuff similar to this in real life racing, so it's nice to see somebody doing something for that, that segment of our community.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I mean, it seems to be pretty reasonable price, €89. I don't know how sophisticated it is 3D printed, but I've bought stuff from these guys when I had the very basic Fanatec pedals, and they make good stuff. I think they're out of France.
Holy cow, this next post says the motor is installed. We have a Facebook post from Chance Johnson on Sim Rig Setups, and he shows a few pictures of a Formula One style kind of cockpit that he's constructed for his sim rig, and then he's made a motor. Well, it looks like an engine that sits behind the seat, and it's pretty impressive.
That's his computer. If you remember
Hmm.
a while back, we looked at this. Remember, there was a mod the guy had made to look like a motor. That's what this guy's basically done. So that's his computer that's parked behind him.
That's
It's
crazy.
super.
That's a graphics card that I see with the three fans.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Hmm.
yes, super cool. But yeah, ran across this. So yeah, monocoque in the front, and then right behind where the driver is, or where the motor would be. That's where his computer is. And so yeah, you've got fans. His graphics cards looks like maybe he's running dual graphics cards on both sides. Really freaking cool.
He's got like a foot wide a fan on the back of that thing. That
Yeah,
big one on the back of the engine.
yeah, it's neat. Again, I'm a dust freak, so this would drive me bat crap crazy.
Wow. The monocoque is all carbon fiber. I mean, wow, this is
That's
really
yeah,
slick.
that's next level.
Yeah, it's got to cost some coin on there. It's kind of cool to see like the previous topic. You've got creation to help people with disabilities. This is just art. This is just cool to really just show off. I mean, you can have a generic looking rig, or you can really kind of just pimp it out and make it look cool. That's one of the cool things about this hobby is just it's endless on what you can do.
Right.
especially with 3D printing.
A lot of people are just, way into the hardware, or they're way into the cockpit, or, hey, I want to build the dashboard and the roof and the window nets, or I just want to paint cars, or, there's so many different directions you can take it.
And that's one of the things, be slightly off topic, but when we brought iRacing to our local school, it hit just about every single curricular in the school, which was great. So it's just fantastic. It's you always learning. I've been in this 20 years and I'm still learning. So it's just so cool.
Okay, Chris Randall, Vero Motion is with the Sim Pit.
Yeah, I watched this one earlier in the week. I think did you guys see this were they at the Sim Expo, or
They
was this
were,
one that
yeah, we
they
liked
were?
them.
Okay. Yeah, so this one is a 4-inch, 100 millimeter actuator system. He pretty much goes through the whole thing as always in his videos, really in depth. Goes through the hardware, the install, and then shows it off. It looks like he's got it pretty cranked up when he's using it, but it looks like a really reasonable price. I mean, that's, I guess, using that word lightly, reasonable price for motion at 6,500, and that includes mounting hardware and everything. So that's a pretty good deal. Um, I think it's a little bit. I think it's 250 millimeters per second, so not as fast as some of the faster ones, but it seemed when I was looking at the software looked very similar to the Cubic and the other softwares I've seen as well. But seems like a good straight up out of the box option if you want to do it.
Look, the 250 millimeter per second, uh, that's slower than some of them, right?
Yeah, mine is. I'm running mine on the Q mode and it gets 800, so it's almost 4 times as fast.
Yeah, that's the only red flag I saw in this. The other thing I learned in the comments of the video was somebody said, and I don't know if this is true, this is PT Actuator actually. It just rebranded.
Hmm.
But look, Vero came on the scene suddenly. Like we didn't know about them before the Sim Gaming Expo. I don't think we've ever heard of them before then. So they've only been around, as far as I know, a few months. I could be totally wrong, um, but yeah, they're interesting, and obviously they got some kind of sponsorship arrangement with the Sim Pit. He indicated it's more than just a review; they're a partner. Okay, Brad, how about Daniel Morad adds belts?
Yeah, just a quick Instagram post here. He's added a belt tensioner. I'm not. He doesn't say which one this is. I don't, is this the cubic,
That's a
Chris?
Cubic. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's kind of lighthearted. It's somebody making a bunch of silly noises while he's turning laps, but you can get an idea of what it's doing and what it looks like.
He says on there because I added seatbelts to my sim. Feel free to roast me. And 2 years ago, I think it's about 2 years ago now, Mike talked me into putting belts, and I'll never go back. And Daniel goes on to say, once you have it, you won't go back. I mean, for me, I don't have motion on it, and I watched the video with Dave Cam where it looked like somebody was kind of like trying to restrain them in there. I don't think I would want something like that. That somebody feel like they're lightly tightening a grip on you, but I have trouble with posture and leaning my chin forward and shoulders forward when I'm racing. And Mike said, get the belts for posture. It'll be a huge help, and they have been. And I highly suggest it to anybody thinking about getting belts is to go ahead and do it. You won't regret it.
So, Chris, I thought the same thing about the belt tensioner. Like, that looks lame. That's not for me, this and that. But when I tried it at the Sim Gaming Expo, I was blown away about how it felt. It really provides an immersion. And so I wouldn't second guess the belt tensioner. But to your point of just having seat belts without a belt tensioner, I totally am into that. I think it holds your torso into the seat. It helps your posture. Look, if you take a video of yourself while you're racing, and you'll see you're flopping around like a fish in your chair. You go into the heavy braking zone, you're arcing your back, and what are you doing with your body? And so when you seatbelt yourself in, man, I just feel like I can drive better. I don't know why.
Well,
Yeah, and I watch myself on a stream and I watch it back. I go, what the heck am I doing? Why are my shoulders and like head so far forward? And that really convinced me to get it. And if I get in and I don't have it on, it's almost like it doesn't feel right. It just feels
It
so
locks you
off
in,
hold on.
you know, like it's like you're putting your gloves on or whatever, like it locks you in and you're kind of, you're more present, I think, with them. But I've never seen, and these have gotten more expensive over the past year, but I have yet to see any of the sim YouTubers that try this say anything but the best about it. And I can't recommend it enough. I mean, I would probably go for this over haptics first, after everything else. It's that good.
All right, we're going to jump to results and
hold up,
talk.
hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. Let's hit the last two.
Oh, okay,
So,
go ahead,
yeah,
Brett.
got a quick hit here. This is the Hive Hyper. This Hive Hyper 3. This is I think it's a French company who's doing this. Maybe, I don't know. Pretty neat looking wheel. Looks very similar to a lot of the other ones that we see. But couldn't find out much more on that. But the one thing I did want to get to was Sim Racing Den has now launched a sim rig builder. So, um, Instagram post, but it's got a link on here that will take you to there. Very cool. Allows you to go through. We've seen some of the other ones that do this, but allows you to go through and basically build your wish list. Then you get links to everything that you need to buy. And it'll give you a running total if there's discounts involved as well. But I thought this was pretty cool. It's nice to have something like this. We've had this for years. When you're building a PC, like PC parts picker and all kinds of stuff. You can do it at Newegg and what like that. But it's nice to have some options if you're building a rig to be able to do this as well. Because again, we get it's very easy to kind of get lost in what you're doing and not really realize either one, how much you spent, is everything going to work together, and whatnot. So I thought this was pretty cool.
Now, I haven't had a chance to try this one, and I need to, because the ones that I've tried before that other people have put together, the problem is they don't have all the equipment. Like I go and try to build a rig and they don't have a key piece that I want to put on, or I want to build my rig to see how much it cost or something. Like they don't have my old wheel or they don't have this or that. So we'll have to see how Sim Racing Den does with his new website. Does he have all this stuff on it?
Well, what was interesting, like, was so like if you pick, like, I went through and I grabbed, I think I grabbed a chassis and then I went to the wheelbase and I grabbed a SemiCube 2. And then I grabbed a steering wheel, and then it pops up and it's like, hey, you're going to need the wheel side adapter for this. So, it's not like you imagine you get everything and then you realize you don't have the quick release adapter for the wheel. So it actually popped up that you need to get this as well if you're going to use this wheel on this wheelbase.
Very cool. Check it out. Yeah, he said his link is in his bio on the Instagram, Sim Racing Den. And that guy's name is Mike, right?
Yep, we met him in Chicago. Super cool guy.
All right, now we'll jump to results. Let's start with A Open, Brad, P8 at Richmond.
Yep. So decided to get back in the cup car. Try to start getting ready for NIS. So, Richmond is typically a crap show. Um, Started P6, ran the top 10 for about the first 50 laps. We had a caution early on, and then things settled down, and we didn't have another one until about lap 50. But then from that point on, it was the typical Richmond caution fest. I think we ended up with 11 overall. So, um, typical kind of frustrating race. I did stay clean the whole night, so ended up with 0x, which is good. Never really had any issues there. Fast set from Premier Racing Setups. Look, I'm trying to stay positive as we head into the 2026 season. I want to, I want to try my dangest to be positive as we go through NIS this year. That's my goal. So happy with the P8. I'm trying to get a couple more in this week. Try to get the I rating back above 3K before the season starts next week.
Look, no matter what kind of shit show it is, somebody still wins the race.
I know, I know.
Let's win it. Let's win that 500. All right. Let's talk Ringmeister. Finish up last week. Cadillac CTSV started pole position, started to pull away from the field going up the hill. I blew it, hit the wall. Then it wouldn't turn after that, and eventually I wrecked out. Then next started pole position and drove away from the field of 26 cars to win it by over 12 seconds. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Third win of the week. Then I started P5, top split, made several mistakes, but finished P6 with car number 25. Then started second, took the lead right away, but then wrecked in the carousel by myself and blew it. Then started second, took the lead, kept it for with a 6 second gap up through the white flag, and then I touched a curb and I was pushing too hard to keep that gap, and I went into the wall head first. Then Monday night, switched cars over to the Dallara IL15, the Indy Next car. First race got wrecked out from behind. Got wrecked out from behind with a guy who lost his rear wing. I told him twice we were coming by, but he still wrecked us. Then I started P2, but fell to running P5. Then I went off track and ended up finishing P8 when I was just trying too hard at the end. Somehow I put myself into the pit road entrance at the end of the race instead of finishing on track, but still was able to bring it home. Next started third, got ran over from behind by fourth place going into turn one of lap one. He drove in and tried to dive bomb me and took about 4 cars out. Um, Wiped us out like bowling pins, actually. Next race started fifth. I overdrove just a little bit, ended up on the curb, high centered, and spun out. Next started P2 and finished P3. Leader drove away from me. I had nothing for him, but it's nice to get a decent finish finally. The next 2 races wrecked out. Next started pole position. It was looking good, but the guy in second was all over me. Eventually, he got me and drove away. I spun once by myself, but was able to hold on to P2, best finish of the week. Then next started third, running third, pushing hard, trying to keep up with the first two, and I basically killed the car, locking the brakes in a heavy braking zone. IMSA Brad P7.
Yeah, got one started Watkins last week. So started 17th, I think. Much deeper than I wanted. I've said for years, I'm just not fast here. No matter what I do, I just can't seem to figure out how to be quick. But was able to kind of avoid most of the mayhem. Except for a spin coming out of the boot on the start. Ended up getting collected in that. Had a little bit of nose damage, but didn't affect the car that much. I really think that there's almost a wreck there in lap one, almost every race I've ever been in. So had decent pace. Was kind of able to, had a good pit stop. Gained a little bit of ground on the guys that were chasing me. And I just look. I'm not super fast here, but if you keep it clean, keep it on the track, typically you're going to get a good result. But yeah, I mean, just a lot of chaos in this one. With GTPs, running over GT3s and GT3s, blocking GTPs. It just was like, all right, guys, just let me avoid it. I just want one finish.
All right. Highline League, Chris W, the PRG 500.
Yeah, so it's not Highline, but our teammate Justin sent me some flyer of the PRG 500. It's $30 entry. There's 325 drivers. If you win, it's $3,000 if you win, and over $11,000 in total prizes. So, first heat was last night and kept it in the middle lane. Drove up from 20th. to finish P7. There was a green white checkered, started 10th. Leaders kind of wrecked, saved it, but everybody wrecked behind them. So I avoided that. Got in the top five, which would have put me in the duels qualifier for Saturday evening, but somebody went below the yellow line, side drafted me, and stuck me back to seventh. They were disqualified, but I did qualify for the last chance qualifier on Saturday. So I'll have to place top 10 for that and then get into the duels to qualify or finish top 10 for that in order to be in Saturday's race for $3,000. So there's Rajah Caruth is in this. Garrett Maines is in this. Dylan Alt won my heat. So there's some coke guys and some heavy hitters in there. So it was good to run safe and up front with guys of that nature. So really really happy with that. Um, Basically for the off season for me, I've been just doing hosted races. My I rating's at a good spot where it's just below Division One, going into NIS. And my wife and I had a baby back in September, so not a lot of track time for me. So hosted races have been great to just get that competitive edge. But then if you wreck, you don't care. You can go to bed and not worry about your SR and I rating. So been having fun with those on the off season. Shout out to S&M Racing that does hosted Talladegas every night at 10 o'clock. And I've been doing a lot of learning for those super speedways, getting ready for Daytona. So I'm feeling ready for next week.
Yeah, I think you and Justin Pearson, you guys running so many hosted super speedway races over the off season. You guys are so prepared for Daytona 500. I just feel like this is it. This is the win. This is it, Chris. This is the year.
And this is it's not just, it is kind of lottery racing, but there is an art to it too. And we've learned a lot of skill with side drafting, pushing, how to push, when you get your runs, keeping that upper lane ready to go. And I mean, when I went back to back to back one week in S&M, and those are some really talented super speedway drivers. And Justin's won several on there, so we're ready. I think me and him, as long as we're not in the same split, we're going to do it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really feeling it this year for you guys, because you're just really prepped. Like you said, you guys are hitting on all cylinders. So, all right, let's switch over to
And
majors. Intimidator, Brad P20.
Yeah, so David, myself, and Donnie were all three in the same split. I know Tom didn't get his results on here, but I think Tom finished third in internationals. Unfortunately, had a power issue and did not get to make the Americas race. But yeah, I finished P20. Started P10. We chose as the three of us to kind of run at the back for the first part of the race, thinking that was going to be okay. But we lost the draft pretty early, and we actually got lucky. Had a yellow not come out, we would have been lapped. So um, good to know, I guess. But yeah, I don't think that was going to work. So from that point, we decided to try to stay together and just try to make some progress towards the front. Unfortunately, David and Donnie would get caught up in accidents. That would leave me kind of all alone up front. All was good until my internet just decided to stop. Literally, no internet at the house. Boop, gone. Just shut down. Whatever reason. I lost about 6 laps by the time I got back in, and then just from that point on, my goal was just to try to help them. So it was wasn't what I was looking for, but it happens. So David, unfortunately finished P27. He ended up getting wrecked twice, used his fast repair, and then the second wreck, he got a meatball and too much damage. Donnie managed a P5 with a very, very wounded car. I think he had 13 minutes of damage and got maybe two or three of it fixed. But he had enough pace to where everybody up front was wrecking. We had a green white checkered and typical Daytona style, coming out of between 3 and 4, they decided to everybody would wipe each other out. And he snuck through for a P5. I think a few guys got DQ'd as they crossed for incidents and whatnot, but shout out to Donnie. So very proud of him. But yeah, it was a somewhat chaotic race, but somewhat not. It wasn't horrible. Um, just a, just a long night and not a lot of fun when you're running 5 laps down and just all I was doing was just logging laps at that point.
All right, and then I ran hosted Gen 4 at Michigan. Got wrecked out by a guy who couldn't hold his lane. Man, you drive it in there and you let it drift up into somebody else, you're gonna wipe them out. And I called him out over the radio. But yeah, all right, let's go to final thoughts. Brad Rent.
Um, so I guess a couple things. I have ordered. It's all here, but I haven't put it on. I ended up getting one of the Sim Magic HPR reactors to put on my brake pedal. Everything's here. I just haven't had a chance to mount it. So that's one of the goals this weekend is to do that. From everything I've read and talked to, I know William Westbrook has it and enjoys it. I've been running I've got haptics on the rig, and I've been running the ABS just to have both front shakers shake. It's okay, but I think I'd rather feel it on the pedal. So looking forward to I'll get that done this weekend. It's just it's like me with anything else. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right, which means I have to take half the cabling apart so I can put everything back into their bundle cords, and everything's got to be perfect the way I want it. So again, it's my OCD. Um, I ordered when I bought the wife got me the Dale Jr. MPI wheel for Christmas. I went looking to get a push to talk button box, and the guy that I bought one from on Etsy has apparently gotten married and moved to England, so he's not making them anymore. Quite disappointed in that. So I went the route to find another one, and I guess on the 18th of January I ordered one from Martin PC, and a little frustrated that it took 3 emails to finally get them to respond to where's my button box after you took my money within a day. I got notification like 3 days ago that it shipped, but I guess UPS hasn't picked it up still. So I'm a little frustrated. I was hoping when I got the notification that it was going to be here pretty soon, but yeah, I don't like to badmouth, and I'm not. Maybe there's something going on there, but communication is important when you got somebody who just dropped $100 on something. I just want to know where it's at. That's all. So NIS starts next week. I'm going to stay positive. I'm going to do my dangest to stay positive this year. I'm not going to get caught up in any of the other drama. So, Mike, you got to help me stay positive. So, you need to change your schedule so you can run on Wednesday nights and keep me from rage quitting. So, change your jobs, do something. I need you there on Wednesday night to keep me from rage quitting.
I think I will show up late Wednesday night in the middle of the race after work and spot one of you guys as a spotter, at least for the 500. So yeah, look for me Wednesday to drop in and see how you guys are running. As far as your package, it's probably in William Westbrook's trunk of his car, like my speaker shelves that he printed me that you still need to be dropped off at UPS. Yeah, UPS label was created, but not scanned.
Oh boy, I didn't mean to open up that can of worms.
I just joust him a little bit. Okay, Chris Waldron, final thought.
Well, Brad, I'll be there on Wednesday nights to help talk you off the ledge. It's usually my thing with Justin. He'll get in a spin or something and rage quit, and then I tell him, if you stuck with it, you could have finished top five. If Justin stayed in his races, he could have won the championship last year. But my final thought is that tomorrow we are hosting the third annual iRacers Lounge Clash at Daytona, and this year we're sponsored by Admin Box with our friends Fish from there, which Admin Box is a fantastic piece of equipment for people that do hosted races a lot. So it's tomorrow night, Daytona Beach, Florida. The lobby opens at 8 p.m. Eastern. The race will start at 9 p.m. We are going to do 5 or 10 minutes of group qualifying, which was just fun. So we accidentally had it in there last year, so we kept it in. And it's 30 laps. Caution laps do not count. You get one quick repair from that. It's fixed set. And then we did a little poll on our iRacers Lounge Discord, and people voted to allow 60 racers in there. So it's going to be quite the thing. We did set fuel at 80%, so you are going to have to manage your fuel a little bit depending on like last night's race with NASCAR, how much caution laps you get. You might have to top her off and do a little work on there. But come on out, race with us. The gang will be there. Get on the chat, get on our Discord, come hang with us, race, and have a good time. And look forward to seeing all of our listeners and finding new listeners out there on the track tomorrow night.
Yeah, get in Discord with your microphone in the voice rooms, guys, and we can all talk to each other during the race. It'll be in hosted. Look for Chris Waldron's name or search for iRacers Lounge. All right, Chris Randall, final thought.
Well, my final thought is I have not run a lot of oval lately, but I'm looking forward to Daytona coming up, and tomorrow night should be fun as well. And other than that, I'm trying to learn how to print myself a 3D printed dash to go around my wheel housing. So see how that goes. Trying to learn how to do some 3D, I guess, CAD work to design my own stuff. But other than that, just looking forward to tomorrow night. That should be fun.
All right, the flow state. I love talking about that a little bit because I've been loving the Ringmeister. Win three times last week in the Cadillac. I got a P2, a P3 this week so far in the Dallara Indy Next. I don't know if I can win in the Dallara Indy Next, and so it's a little frustrating when I wreck out. But I guess you got to take the highs and the lows with this. As far as my pedals go, I love them, but I get out of the car, they throb. The brake moves back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so I actually put a video up on the Moza Discord trying to get some answers about why this is happening. And it's just annoying more than anything. I mean, but once I start driving the car, the pedals go to normal and everything's right. Chris, I know you had some problems with the pedals too, but still enjoying them. I think they're making me faster than I used to be. So, hey, with that, we'll see you on the track later. Okay, title ideas. We got 4. I like 2 or 3.
Where are y'all looking? I never know.
Your mic, Chris, is a little weird.
Yeah, it's still doing
Yeah, I
it.
don't know. Is it still doing it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of like you could hear yourself kind of.
That's really weird because I'm not. When I test on Discord, it sounds fine. So I don't know what that is.
Yeah. So we got 4: throbbing pedal, trial by fire, the flow state. Are we ready for NIS?
All right, vote. I'll vote 3.
3.
3.
All right, there it is. Good show, guys.
Yep, I'll get this updated in a few.
Had to get some
Sorry about
food.
that. I'll check it. I'll figure out what's going on. Add it to my list of PC problems that I have to deal with weekly. So
Does it have to do with you're not using push to talk and you're letting it just?
it's never done it before, and it's a DJI. It's like a literal, like this little, one of these guys. So it's a
Yeah,
legit mic. I
it,
don't know
it
what's going on with it.
I don't know. At one point, we were picking up all kinds of other stuff from
Yeah,
you. So
Like
there's nothing else
interference.
going on. It's weird. Okay, yeah, I apologies. I'll fix it.
No worries.
You got
yeah,
kids in the
I mean,
house or something?
push to talk is I think is